You don't have to buy a Mac Mini to run OpenClaw. This video is going to be a tutorial on how to set up a virtual machine on Google Cloud in a way that is safe, secure, it's not going to cost you a lot of money, and it is the setup that I personally use. It works really well, so I thought I would show you how I did it. So I have a brand new project here on Google Cloud. If you don't know how to get here, I'm going to put a link in the video description on how to set up a project. The good news is if you haven't had a Google account before, you can get a free trial with $300 of credits. So it's not going to cost you anything for about 90 days. It's the period of the free trial. But if you haven't had a Google account before, you're going to have to put in your credit card and pay for it. But your cost with this setup here is going to be anywhere between $10 to $20. It's not going to be much more than that. Okay, so we have the new project that I created. The first thing we're going to do is navigate to our VPS networks. And we have to enable the Compute Engine API. And now that it's enabled, let's go back here. So before we set up our virtual machine, there are a couple of things we want to do here in the network to make it tidy and secure. So let's open our default network. Every time you create a new project, you get this default network with a lot of convenient pre-configured things here, but which are not really the most secure. For example, if we go to firewalls, you're going to see 4 permissive rules here that we really don't need, especially allowing SSH and RDP traffic into our instances from the public internet, as you can see here. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. If you just click on one of them, click delete, then let's select the 3 others here as well and click delete as well. We're really not going to need any of these. Let's just close off our network before we do anything else. Now, one more thing still before we get into the virtual machine instance, let's go to Identity and Access Management, or IAM. So a new project also gets a Compute Engine default service account with the editor role. It's a highly permissive role. It has access to effectively do anything here in the platform, except grant any other access or create IAM resources. We certainly don't need that for our virtual machine. This is, by the way, the identity that the virtual machine is going to have. So I'm just going to remove the editor role. I'm going to create a few roles that are probably going to be useful, like logs writer, so you can write logs. Monitoring metric writer. And I like giving it an object creator role because sometimes I like to ask my OpenClaw bot to, back up files to a storage bucket that I created, and this is just a convenient thing to have so that it has permissions to do so, but you don't have to. So once you're happy with the right set of permissions here that you think you're going to need, and you can always add more later, let's go to Compute Engine. And now we're going to create our instance. So let's give it a name like OpenClaw VM. Choose a region that is close to where you live, and choose the E2 machine series here. This is the low-cost day-to-day computing with shared cores and bursty behavior. So it's not going to be the most predictable, consistent, high-performance machine, but it's going to be enough for an OpenClaw bot, and it's not going to cost you much. Now, for the size, you can choose a small, and that will work very well for most use cases. I personally use a medium just because I installed a graphical interface to my Linux instance and I installed Google Chrome browser, and I have my OpenClaw bot sometimes use the graphical browser for certain use cases that I have. But again, for most people, the small one should be fine, and you can always increase it if you need more. Now, as you select your configurations, you can see the monthly estimate here on the right. So this small machine is going to cost you $13. So, be aware of that. If you have the $300 credit trials, you're not going to pay for it. Obviously, the price estimate will still show up here, but don't worry. If you're in the trial, you're not going to be paying anything for it. Now let's see what other options we have here. We don't have to change any of these defaults. They're all pretty good. Let's go to OS and storage. Now here, let's change the disk size to something a little bit bigger. Also, the default you get here is this balanced persistent disk. The standard persistent disk is going to be a little bit cheaper, not as high performance, but certainly not a problem for this use case here. Now the default is 10 GB. You might want to have something like 50 or 100. So you have a little bit more leeway. You can download larger files. You're not going to run out of space. But be aware it's going to increase your cost. So for example, with the 100 GB standard disk here, we're going to spend an additional $4 on top of what we had before. Or a little less than 4 because the 10 GB we had before cost something too. All right, for the data backup, you can leave the no backups option unless you are worried that you might break your virtual machine and you might want to be able to restore it, in which case you might want to set up snapshot schedules. But I think a cheaper and easier thing to do is to just back up your memory and markdown files, and you should be able to reset up your OpenClaw if something breaks very easily. Now moving on to networking, we don't need to do anything here. For observability, make sure the ops agent is selected here so that it collects logs and metrics into cloud logging and cloud metrics so that we can see, for example, CPU utilization, memory utilization, and that's how we're going to find out if the size that we picked was too large or too small, if we need to adjust it. For security, you can leave the Compute Engine default service account, which we have now pruned the access for, so it's not too permissive. Now for access scopes, you want to set the access for each API and make sure everything is disabled just to add an extra layer of security so this virtual machine instance can't really access any of these services, with the exception of storage with read and write, at least if you are like me, planning on backing up memory files and such to a cloud storage bucket. Now you want to leave these options here selected. This is for boot integrity, so it's a nice security feature as well. And you want to select the control VM access through IAM permissions. This is going to enable OS login, which is going to link your Linux user with your Google identity. And it's going to prevent additional users from being created in your virtual machine instance. It adds convenience, but more importantly, security as well, because now you're forced to hit this authentication layer every time you access your virtual machine. And you can even require two-step verification as a good extra measure as well. Okay, finally, we have the advanced section here, which again, we don't really need to do anything here. Let's go and create this instance. Now, while the instance is being created here, let's go over to instance schedules. Now, here's a good way to save a little bit of cost with your virtual machines. If you don't plan to have it running 24/7, then you can have it be shut down at a certain time of the day and then start again at another time. Personally, I shut down my instance at 11 p.m. and then I start up again at 7 a.m. because I don't need it to be running 24/7. There's nothing that I need my bot to do in the middle of the night. So I prefer to just shut it down. I save some costs. And, it honestly doesn't matter to me if the VM is not running in the middle of the night. So if you want to do the same, you create an instance schedule. You give it a name like and then you select your region here, a start time like 7 a.m., stop at 11. And then you pick your time zone here, whatever the case may be. And, you can leave this empty so that it starts immediately and leave this empty as well. And then for the frequency, repeat daily. And then you submit. And now you need to go in here and then add instances to the schedule. And then I'm going to add the instance that I just created here. All right, now let's go back. The instance should be hopefully ready by now. And we can go over here and access our instance. But before we do that, remember we closed off all the firewall ports. So there's one thing we need to do to be able to access this instance securely, and that is with Identity Aware Proxy. So let's go over here, enable the API. So Identity Aware Proxy adds an authentication layer to access applications and instances in Google Cloud. It's a good way of, moving away from like a networking model of access where you open up firewall, close ports and open ports, and just establish a central authentication layer and you protect yourself that way. No need to have a firewall open or even a public IP address. We're going to keep a public IP address in the instance here just so that it can access the internet. Otherwise it couldn't, unless you create a cloud net, which would cost you a little bit more and is frankly not necessary for this personal setup here. So let's go to IAP, select SSH and TCP resources. Now your instance is already going to be listed here. Click on the error message and it's telling you that you need to add this firewall rule allowing access from this IP address range. So this is Google's range for the IAP proxy services. It's a trusted range that is completely managed by Google. So you can just copy this here, click on Edit Firewall, and you're going to be taken to the firewall console, and then add a firewall rule, allow IAP proxy, SSH. Then you have ingress, allow all instances in the network. For the IP address range, you paste in that range and port TCP 22. That's all you have to do. And now the proxy can access our instance, and we can access the proxy over HTTPS. No extra firewall needed here. We are already good to go. Now, if we go back to our compute engine instances, and we click on Connect SSH here, it's going to automatically tunnel traffic through IAP. So we're going to connect actually over HTTPS. That's going to be tunneled, and we're going to access our instance, even though there's no firewall rule allowing access from, whatever this shell instance is running from here. So that is all to say that this is the recommended secure way of accessing instances on Google Cloud. If you are extra paranoid, you can remove the public IP address, set up a Cloud NAT instance, and then your instance will have outbound access to the internet and no public IP whatsoever. But again, this setup is, in my opinion, completely safe. You shouldn't worry too much about it. If you have a corporate organization in your Google Cloud, you might even be able to use Beyond Corp Enterprise and set up extra conditions for access, like people coming from specific geolocations, specific networks, having managed devices with up-to-date policies and so on. But for a personal setup, this is more than enough. Okay, now that we are finally in our instance here, we can run the OpenClaw installation step, which I'm not going to show here because there's tons of documentations and videos showing how to do that. I just wanted to show you a setup that is safe. It's a secure virtual machine that you can now access as long as you are authenticated with Google Cloud, which, let me show you one last thing. If you want to SSH from your local computer, you need to have the gcloud CLI installed, and then you run gcloud compute SSH, your username, which if you enabled OS login, it's going to be your email address, where you replace the @ symbol with underscore, and also the dots you replace with underscore. So it could be user@gmail.com. That's going to be your actual username here. And then the IP address or the name of the instance, which was OpenClaw VM, and then tunnel through IAP. All right, one final tip. If you want to make sure that your virtual machine instance is automatically patched with security updates, you might want to install the unattended upgrades package in Debian Linux. So it's really just a 1 or 2 commands you need to run here. You might want to configure, specific types of upgrades to have and so on. And by the way, you can have your OpenClaw bot set that up for you. Otherwise, just install it, make sure it's enabled. It's very quick and easy to do. I'll put the link in the video description on how to do it. All right, I hope this video was helpful. And again, this was not a tutorial on setting up OpenClaw. It was a tutorial on setting up a virtual machine instance that you can now use with your Lobster. All right, thank you for watching.